As we transition seasons, let's bring along ideas for color as we head into this winter. Today, we're thrilled to meet with Daly Young from Bloomer's Garden Center in Elgin, who's going to style up containers and discuss garden beds. Daly, how are you doing?
Very good.
Thank you so much for coming today. Let's first start with, what is Bloomer's?
Yeah, so my parents started Marcus and Jody in 1987, and they started small, and now it's grown into a full-scale nursery. We sell perennials, vegetables. We do a lot of growing ourselves and whatnot.
Okay. Why is fall such a good time to plant here in Central Texas?
It gives kind of a head start on just getting your plants established. You also don't have to worry about having to water as much to start out with. I've planted several plants at my home that have just flourished after planting in the fall versus other plants that I planted in the spring, just because they got that extra head start.
Well, you've brought together a smorgasbord of plants to talk about some color in fall and into winter, some of these being evergreens. So we're going to try to cover as much as we can. We probably won't hit all of them. Let's start first with, you've got some annuals and edibles within these containers. What do you want to talk about with these?
Yeah, so these make great just patio pot plants. I like to add in vegetables along with some color.
You've got some Swiss
chard, yeah. And then also adding in some smaller growing perennials like the Blackfoot daisy. Eventually, you could transition that into the ground once everything else is kind of past its season. It's a great thing for apartments and smaller areas.
Spaces. Yeah. Okay, like balconies and all that.
Yes,
that's
yes.
great. And then you change them out just seasonally.
Usually seasonally, yeah.
What about some of these others here? We'll start with American Beautyberry, because right in fall's when it's really starting to get in its prime.
Yeah, that's a great native plant to bring out. It's great for wildlife, birds, and it's a good one for shade. It's a good understory plant.
Yeah.
There's less options available for shade,
right.
So that's a really great plant to have.
Some others we've got, flame acanthus on the other opposite end of the spectrum, loves the sun.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. It is a beautiful plant. It's also great for hummingbirds, pollinator plant,
right.
Very hardy. It gets big, but it's not going to take over.
I've seen some of mine. I've seen gotten pretty wide though. They'll go if you let them though. So,
yeah.
But I've also known too though they don't mind if you hack away at them. You know, so you can sort of keep them in check. What about, let's see, the fall aster right up here?
Yes, that's a great one to get for fall. We have one planted behind our building, and when it's in full bloom, we can't keep those in stock. It's just they get so covered in little purple flowers.
Yeah.
Perennial, very hardy as well.
Well, what about sedges for evergreen folks? There's a lot of sedge options out there.
Yes, there's many varieties of sedge, and those are great. Another shade or sun plant, and they will the clump will expand over time, but they're very thick. But I would still say that clump expanding is going to be pretty slow.
But I know some of them, at least with the natives that I've had, they all actually will seed out as well.
Yeah, you can have them seed out, yes.
But you don't want to mow them too much. I've also seen people trying to say, okay, I'm going to replace my lawn I'm going to do sedge, but then they try to mow it and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, it really is it gets too high to really keep cut. You just want to let it flourish.
Let it do its thing. Grasses over here, we've got in the front 2 blue gramas. Those are wonderful drought-tolerant plants.
Yes. Full sun, very drought-tolerant, can definitely withstand our harsh summers here. They look great with any of the ornamental grasses, mixing those into landscapes and even color beds.
And with those, they probably want soils that drain a little bit more, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, well-drained soil. Sometimes you can get things established if you mix stuff in the hole and do adequate soil mixing, but generally speaking, you do want pretty well drainage on most of the grasses.
Okay, and then behind that, we've got, which is fairly popular, the coastal muhly here, the Gulf Coast muhly.
Another great one. It blooms a purple plume, and a lot of places, you see them around town, just planted in mass plantings. It makes a very pretty plant. You can also plant them just alone, again, in your landscape as a focal point.
Right, and they're sort of the opposite of blue grama, right? They actually were going to want to go with a little bit more moisture. And what about the leucophyllum we have up over here, the barometer plant, or Cenizo? People love that.
Yes. Yeah, those are, there's so many new varieties now too. It's really cool to have those. There's dwarf ones now that, if you don't have the space for a big 8-foot shrub, you can, get a smaller version of it. Very drought tolerant. You can also, when they start getting leggy, cut them back a little bit and they'll stay full.
And those are evergreen as well, right? Yeah,
Yes.
so you always sort of have that anchor in the garden if you like it.
Yes.
And when they are full bloom, man, it's hard to beat. We've got some rock penstemon right here, I believe.
Yeah, that's just a great little low-growing plant. It is going to want good drainage, full sun, very, very drought tolerant as well.
And is that an evergreen, or is that?
It's going to be more. It's going to depend on our winter. I would say that would cover a lot of these. Sometimes we do have some mild winters where some of the perennials that do freeze back don't, or vice versa. We have some hard winters where everything freezes back.
Yes,
so,
everything does.
It can fluctuate a little bit. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I guess to go back to the grasses, that's always a great option. If you can think about evergreens, but also leaving that the growth up there, and it's brown, yes, but you have this wonderful texture.
Yeah.
It's also a wonderful nesting resource for wildlife and other species as well. And then we've also got here the red yucca.
Yes.
That's a great evergreen, but very robust as well, but also puts out these really beautiful flower stalks.
That's another great native that, if you just want something to leave alone, get that planted, and it's going to attract pollinators as well.
And I know there's some that have some white flowers. I know that attract some nocturnal bats that are kind of cool.
Yeah, there's white flowers. There's even ones that have like a little bit of a darker color, like almost a red.
Is it the brake
light?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You've got the greggii Salvia, correct?
Those I would say are pretty much evergreen here. Another great pollinator plant. Even though they are evergreen, it does help to cut them back right before spring to help them stay full and bushy.
Some of these will need freeze protection, correct?
Yes. The bowls, for
Containers,
instance,
yeah.
they don't have any insulation around their roots. A lot of the perennials are going to be root hardy. It'll just depend on the winter. If we're going to have a really harsh freeze, some people will mulch pretty heavily and then water them in before the freeze.
Yes.
And that definitely helps insulate the roots.
And then what are some of the big changes y'all have seen in terms of interest at bloomers, in terms of what people are going after in terms of plants? I think survivability is probably one.
Yeah. A lot of people have been coming in for natives, and that's great. Just wanting to get stuff that's going to grow well with minimal care and look good. House plants have kind of come in the last few years, and so a lot of people are that don't have space outside, want to have something, so they do house plants. And just overall, I think just landscaping has been kind of picked up.
All right. Well, wonderful, Daly. Thank you so much for coming by. Folks should all go out to Elgin and visit bloomers and pick you up some winners for this winter. Fun fact, Daly's dad, Marcus Young, first appeared on Central Texas Gardener in May 2007. Here's a clip from November 2015 about a great pollinator plant for winter.
Because this is a tough performer. You've brought us, it looks like a double flower form.
Right. So Calendula is also called pot marigold, and it has a long history of being an edible flower. It has kind of a peppery taste to it, but it's a wonderful fall flower.